Sure.
Wow.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I will note that all board members are present, with the exception of Council President Hudson, who is excused. Move first to the acceptance of our minutes from the September 29th meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Next up, we have our report from our secretary. Good morning, Joe.
Yes, good morning, Mayor and board members. So the mediation over the Clary Elms matter took place last week, and it was somewhat inconclusive. The parties are going to continue to have dialogue, and we'll probably have a more definitive report at the next board meeting.
Okay.
Okay. And then just this morning, our directors and officers liability policy proposal came in, which is why I couldn't give it to you yesterday. It's before you now to consider. We will not be voting on it today, but it did have a substantial premium increase of about $5,000, which, and I can talk more to the agent, but the quick take on it was it has to do with the, now, in the big picture, not with the JSCB in particular, the market is difficult for this type of insurance. And although they also cited our increase in revenues, which I found kind of odd, and I'll have to ask them about that because that doesn't make too much sense to me, but
Yeah.
So next year it'll go down?
yeah, good point. He did point out that we've been with Greenwich Insurance for quite a while now. They did give us a discount. If we were a new policy applicant, the premium would have been $24,000 instead of the quoted $17,000. So something to consider, and if I can find more information, I'll update the board before November.
Yeah, please do.
Thank you, and that completes my report.
Question on the clarity situation, inclusive means that they need more time for resolution.
Yes, the other party actually asked to submit more documentation to the mediator. So, he's allowing that in the hope that more dialogue will potentially lead to a resolution.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Let's go next to our report from our program manager. Good morning, Chris.
Morning. How's everyone?
Doing well, thanks.
Good. So a couple things today. We'll run through the report, and then I brought with us just a picture show here of some accomplishments from Elms and at Henninger in terms of what we've been doing over there. Just thought that would be good to do an update for those that didn't get an opportunity to walk when we walked just before school was open.
Great.
So we could see that. So that said, just to run through project budget and summary approvals, continue to move forward with getting final cost reports in, submitting change orders. I did want to point out, just to kind of benchmark it for you a little bit, in terms of final payments, we have 7 of the 13 buildings we've rendered final payments to the GCs and the controls contractor, which were our 2 entities that did the work on the buildings. So that means we have 6 more to go in terms of final payments, and we anticipate 5 of those by the end of this year. The only one that would be outstanding would be the Henninger piece. We just don't feel that we'll get the final payment in on that until probably the beginning of 23. So just to give you a little context of where we are with that. So and then in terms of project closeout under tranche 1, I think I'd highlight there is just that the final cost reports, we've developed those. They're in for finalization, review, finalization, and submission to the state ed for Ed Smith, Huntington, Blodgett, Fowler. So we anticipate those being submitted to state ed for their review as the next step. And then in terms of tranche 2, largely the same, just about there with punch list items, a couple here and there on some of the items in the closeout documentation. We're driving to receive all that and get that in and approved. And as I said, we anticipate that we'll have final payments for the GC and for the controls contractor before the end of this year. And then some of the architectural payments may follow after that as well for that, depending on the piece that really is taking some time is just getting all the closeout documentation in and getting that 100% correct and getting everything dialed in the way it's supposed to be in terms of that. There's a fair amount of collection of documents from a bunch of different entities that takes some time. So, and then in terms of the construction update, Fowler interior package, contractors are complete, and we got the final payment for this month, so that's a good thing. The concession stand, we continue to work forward on that. The punch list, there's been a little bit time consuming there in terms of getting that, but I think we have an answer to it. Financially, that one is in good shape with the exception of one change order to be written. Corcoran, punch list is done. We have the final costs have been reconciled in terms of that, and the closeout documentation we got one item left there, so that's in good shape as well. At Danforth, closeout documentation is resubmission. We got one item, and then anticipation of final payment in the fourth quarter. Henninger is moving along. We're into the upper level area kitchen and the serving line, the tiles going in there, ceiling and flooring, followed by, obviously we'll have the kitchen equipment that'll come forward after that. So that's progressing well in terms of finishes there. And then on the old library area on the upper floor, that's pretty close. I think, Sean, right, the anticipation is it's within another week or so, right? That'll be in a place where we can occupy those rooms. And then, if you recall, we had a kind of to switch. We had those rooms on the end that we need to move into those rooms so we can then finish putting the windows into the other. So, and punch list is progressing well up there. We've been shrinking that quite a bit. They've been the general contractor has been actively pursuing that. So,
Excuse me, Chris, did you say those 4 inner rooms are done? They'll be done within a week?
pretty close, yes. Yeah, they're close right now. And I don't, Sean, I'll look at you for the when.
Pressing a couple speakers. So
Okay.
safe for kids to be in there. Track these down.
Great.
Nottingham, again, punch list corrective work. We've got a handful of items there, but we have reconciled that from a cost perspective, and the closeout documentation's in good shape. Clary, again, reconciled on that. A lot of these are pretty redundant in terms of where we are with them. The costs have been reconciled and anticipate that payment in the fourth quarter. In Elms, again, reconciled on costs there. We got 3 open punch list items, and then as Joe mentioned, we do have to resolve the claim situation over there before we, to get that one completed. So that about covers it. Like I said, we're in good shape with that, and things are moving along. Questions, comments on that?
So what's the timeline on the kitchen?
For completion and occupancy, I'm gonna look at Sean again for a second because he's up there every day.
Probably after Thanksgiving or end of November.
And so by December 31?
Yeah.
Okay.
It said December 1st at the last meeting.
Yeah. The trickiest part about what can be a bit time consuming with that is the health department.
Still have to get inspected once you're done.
We gotta be done and then get health department, and then they typically will tell you you're not quite done, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And so that we have to go through that process. But yes, Chuck, I would say by the end of December that they would be occupied and having full use of that. So, other questions on that? If not, I'll jump over and give you
Yeah, let's look at some pictures.
You guys hear me okay? So I just wanted to give you some quick stats on what we did over there. That's obviously the new entrance way that we put in over there.
For the people, Chris.
So the stats here are that in the new addition, the 18,000 square feet, the 12 new classrooms that we installed over there, we renovated about plus or minus 50,000 square feet in some capacity. A lot of it was putting windows into rooms, new floors, new ceilings. They added the second cafeteria at the lower level, the new library, which was moved from the second floor down to the first floor, and created 5 new classrooms within the existing building. That was where the old library space was. So that's kind of an aerial shot of what we did with the loop there in the front of the main entrance. There's a significant improvement.
Looks good.
That's kind of a before and after. Obviously, on the left is the before shot, and the after shot here, in terms of how that entrance works now and looks. That's the main office. The entry obviously is not completed, where you see the white board on the bottom is tile that has to still yet to be installed there. And then that's the new main office in terms of the furniture and casework that decorated for the fall. This, I think, was a kind of a neat shot. This is that main entrance lobby there outside of where the library is now. You can see, quite a transformation there in terms of the light levels and the finishes, and pretty neat looking. So that was a previous of the library. The carpet was, I think that carpet's been there a while. And this brings you to where we are now in terms of the library. A little bit of a nice improvement, and so that was kind of the before and after of the upper level cafeteria in terms of the seating areas. You can see where we went with that one. Not a super fancy shop, but that was just to illustrate we installed a new stair, which logistically for the building was of significance to allow the movement of folks up and down between the floors. This is the lower level cafeteria that we put in, which was which is new in its entirety. Got some pictures there of the lower level of the new serving line that's there and the new equipment. So this is kind of a before and after, just to illustrate what having that window does in the space in terms of how much natural light that lets into that space. It makes a pretty significant difference in terms of that environment. And I picked on the staff a little on this one. I said, could you find a darker picture? But I just think all the lights weren't on in there, so it wasn't quite that dark down there. But you get the sense of where it was. And that obviously is the new locker room area down below with the lockers and the benches. That was that south entrance before we did anything. There was an aerial shot there with steps on both sides. And we obviously made some improvements there with respect to the ADA access and the ramp and new handrails, and reworked that whole section. Again, not a real glamorous shot, but did want to highlight that we did a lot of mechanical work in that building in terms of replacing, major air handling units in the building, which obviously improved your ventilation and your control and your energy consumption in that building. Again, this is just a couple pictures of some of the rooftop unit, not all of them, but this is pictures of representative of the rooftop unit replacements that we did there, which again helps improve the interior air quality of the building. This is some shots of the addition as we developed it, kind of in its final form there. And this is the addition area, classrooms that we added. Just the stair that traverses to the upstairs and the new connective corridor there to the existing building. And then we wanted to kind of walk you through Elms. Elms was kind of a culmination of what we did under JSCB and what was done by Tom and his staff in terms of the improvements over at Elms. We renovated, but not a huge building over there, about 9,000 square feet. So the renovations included the gym. We put a new floor in the gym, new wall pads in the gym. The cafeteria over there, we kind of made that more purposeful than what it was. It was basically in a classroom, pretty small and cramped. A new designated art room, and then created some room in the corridors for the lockers. So that was kind of the space in which this was. Obviously, we were into the demo a little bit at that point, but this is the existing space that the cafeteria was in. They made some improvements, obviously, there in terms of the serving line and some equipment and floors and ceilings. That was your existing gymnasium floor. That's the new floor that we put in, the new wall pads. So nice improvements there. The art room prior to And what we've done there with the art room in terms of the work tables and the casework and floors and ceilings and lights. And then we had some, in terms of the lockers over there, we had some lockers that were in the corridor, so they kind of reorganized that a little bit, made that use of the space a bit more efficient, and I think increased, I think we had a net increase on lockers. And then the site work here, just to kind of feature that, some new sidewalk replacement, a lot of work in the loop over there. Kind of lost that. If you'd been over there, the one that would take your muffler off that was over there was kind of a big, kind of a little bit of a mound there. I think Tom and his team resolved that issue. And I think that's it.
Nice.
Any questions on any of that? So it's nice to be able to look back and kind of see it.
I have a question about the stairwell, the first stairwell you showed us at Henninger. Are there cameras, or is that something that there is? Okay.
Yeah, there is right at the
Okay.
at the top of the stair that can look down and out.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that was, and just to point out, I mean, that was something that we took on as an extra for that, the base bit of the work didn't, it was something that kind of evolved during the course of design. When we get into construction, we said if we could do what we wanted to stretch and do that. So it's a big improvement, as I understand it, operationally for the building, for
Definitely.
student movement.
Yeah,
So,
great.
any other questions?
Yeah, quick one, kind of off on a different tangent. We've added some space to Henninger. What's the maximum capacity of that facility right now for students?
Student-wise, I'm gonna look at Tom, are you?
And what's the current population?
I'm going to look at the superintendent. It's a lot. It is our most populous high school. We would have to redo it. The old master plan, I think we were at about 1,500 students, but that was before the addition. So we'd have to recalculate that, but
1,700, 1,800, do you think?
well, you know what, believe it or not, in a high school, it depends on the scheduling. So if you have like AP Physics, you don't have 30 kids sign up for AP Physics. So that might only have 5 kids in it. But if you have like, algebra, then you have a full classroom. So it depends on, and if you remember, we're doing health careers and some special programs in there in some of the rooms. So they use a factor on there. But we could redo it and give you a range if you want. I can come back to you with that.
The only reason I'm asking the question is because obviously what's gone on here in the last 2, 3, or 4 weeks, where Syracuse is now going to be the next Charlotte, North Carolina, according to some predictions, is when do we start JSCB 4, 5, and 6? Because if we do have an explosive population, I think we do need to start thinking about long range. I don't know. I mean, I'm having a hard time wrapping my arms around the whole concept, having lived here all my life except for 4 years. But wow. And the city of Syracuse, certainly the northern suburbs are going to have issues too, but the city of Syracuse is going to have issues, for sure.
We have, the highest I've seen in Henninger was mid 1,600, but currently I want to say it's right around 15.
Mm-hmm.
We have capacity in most of our high schools, not a lot of them though.
That was going to be my next question,
Yeah.
but I already sort of
We have
knew
a
the
little bit
answer
of
to that,
capacity.
so, yeah. Great, thanks.
Appreciate the sentiment. We should all be thinking about it, for sure.
Yep.
Good. Thanks, Chris. All right, moving right along, we have our financial statement up, and Donna approaching the mic. Good morning.
Good morning.
Apologize, I'm not sure if it made it into your packet. I know it went out in the email last night, but I just noticed.
Let's see, the budget, yeah.
It's just the one pager.
Yeah, I don't think so, but let me talk us through it, and maybe we can share a couple. Thanks, Suzanne.
Everybody doesn't have it, that's okay. There wasn't a lot that went on in the month of August, but we had some interest earnings. We had the vendor payments that were approved in July and August were both paid in August. And so that's really all we had for the month. The total that we did get for the interest earnings was $10,166, which is really good. I'm on the cash flows, which is the one on the top. The year-to-date column, to this point, the interest earnings is $21,000, and that's only for July and August. That's this fiscal year. We also did have a claim settlement last month of $270,000, which I did report last month. That was from the Ed Smith claim. So our projected inflows for the month is for the state aid intercept. Our projected inflows for all of 2023. You have to forgive me. I forgot my glasses, so I'm borrowing someone's, okay? So I'm trying to read what I got.
None of us are at 100% this morning for this report, but we're going to make it work.
Good. So our projected state aid intercept for 2023 is going to be $34 million, and we are projecting that we're going to take in about $722,000 for our federal subsidy, and our interest earnings, we're looking at probably about $85,000, which is pretty good. So our total inflows for the year is about $35 million. Our cash outflows for the month was construction and incidental payments was 1.9, and that, as I said, was the combined July and August together. So that's really that's all we've spent to this point. And then our projected for the year is going to be about $9.3 million in construction and incidental payments. Our debt service payments is projected at $34.6 million, and our we will transfer out the subsidy payment to the district to help offset the debt service. So that's about it. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, looks like we just have one resolution to consider, so I'm going to turn it back over to Joe.
Yes, thank you, and again, I apologize for the missing report. It did go out in the email packet if you want to go back and
Thanks.
see it.
No problem.
And we have our one resolution today, resolution number 18, which would be our monthly payments to the various contractors.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, any other business to come before the board? Motion to adjourn? Oh, Tom?
It's the CFO's last JSCB meeting, so.
It is. I don't know if everyone has heard, but Suzanne is leaving the district, which we're all still trying to wrap our heads around that too. But I'll certainly say, Suzanne, it's been a pleasure to work with you, and I think what I've always appreciated about you, you are clearly the subject matter expert in the world of school finance, but beyond that, it's always been very evident that you care deeply about our kids and the work that you do. So thank you for that. We're gonna miss you.
I was refusing to acknowledge that, so I wasn't going to tell you at all.
It's still in denial, Superintendent? Yeah.
Oh, by the way, there's a couple of contracts I need you to approve before you go.
Thanks for mentioning that, Tom, and thanks again, Suzanne.
Good luck in the future.
Yeah.
This is the fifth part of getting old, you're retired.
All right, with that, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.